Residents of a Mississauga retirement home are being told to move out by the end of July after the company that operates the home sold the property to a developer. About 200 residents of Chartwell Heritage Glen retirement residents are going to have to find somewhere else to live. They don't know where. Chartwell says it's helping residents find new accommodations, trying to provide them with 3 months' rent, but some are still reportedly refusing to leave. So joining us to talk about how the law views these situations is Bethany Pascudo, staff lawyer at the Advocacy Centre for the Elderly. Welcome to Your Morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
So the retirement home runs as a private business. We can get to that in a second. But this property, bottom line, is being sold to a developer, that's Minto, and they're planning to turn this into a residential property for people of all ages. So the official eviction notice that was given to the residents at Chartwell said they had to vacate so the units could undergo renovations and repairs. What rights do the tenants then have in order to stay or try to even come back to their units?
So retirement home residents have the same rights that any other rental individuals would have. So the first would be the right of first refusal, which is to return to the same unit after the renovations are done at the same rent that they were already paying. And the second would be if they don't want to do that and they want to go somewhere else, of course, that 3 months of rent, I think you mentioned in the introduction, that Chartwell has been offering. Retirement homes also have additional responsibilities, including they need to make reasonable efforts to find alternate accommodations for the residents when there's a renovation undergoing.
Bethany, when we're talking about finding accommodations, we already know there's a housing crisis that increases when you're on a fixed income and elderly and need, special accommodations for that. So do the residents that they have to find for them, do they have to match what they have now, match or be better?
Yeah, they have to be reasonable alternate accommodations. So they have to be similar to the situation that they were already in. They can't be moving them to a place where it costs twice or 3 times as much.
Right. In a statement that was provided to us, Chartwell did explain their decision to close the residence. This is their quote. The decision to close Heritage Glen was not made lightly. We have been operating at less than 60% capacity for several years. That, combined with the aging infrastructure of the residents, made it unsustainable to continue operating as a retirement residence. So it is a private company. What qualifications do they need to satisfy, requirements do they need to satisfy in order to be able to sell a retirement home?
So unfortunately, as you mentioned, it's a private business. They are able to cease operating the business and sell at any point. They just have to surrender their license, and there's a process that they have to go through. I think it's about 120 days, and I understand that they have done that here.
How do rights differ for residents of retirement homes as opposed to those in long-term care facilities?
So those are very different types of institutions, and that's important to point out. A retirement home, as we mentioned, it's a private retirement residence, a private rental residence. A long-term care home is part of our healthcare system. A medical professional deems that you need the services from a long-term care home. You make an application, you're put on a waiting list, and then once you're in the long-term care facility, the only way that you are that you are told to leave is if you're being discharged because you no longer need their services. This is a completely different system. It's part of our healthcare system.
Bethany, I have a question for you, and this is sort of looking down the road, but in your line of advocacy and doing legal work, I wonder if you've thought about this too. So we have this housing crisis. You have a developer who's buying a retirement home that's been sold to them because they want to put up more residences because that is the need that's happening in this province. Could we see more scenarios like this? And then what happens to a senior population on a fixed income also looking for housing?
That's exactly what we're concerned about and what we're seeing. The cost of living crisis is affecting us all, but it affects the seniors even more because they're on a fixed income. And as some of the residents mentioned, they've been at that location for 20 years. Yeah. And you can imagine that their fixed income hasn't increased over that time. So this cost of living crisis and this availability of rental unit crisis is going to impact seniors even more than the average person. And that's what we're seeing and what we're concerned about.
Yeah, we just had that report when you pair it with it in the GTA about more seniors who are in our homeless shelters in the city and that number going up. Bethany, it's a good conversation to have and a timely one as well. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.